Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Terrell here with patreon.com/JagerBombs as well as DFSR.com. It's Monday. We got a great slate of fantasy baseball we're going to talk about here. Before we get going, I am just going to share. You can wait for a couple more people to pop in. And then we will get started here. I'm going to talk some DraftKings plays for members up on the sheet. I discussed some strategy, some plays, but we're going to go over them all. You can also check out over at dfsr.com. I have my baseball article up for today. So make sure to go check that out as well. I go over my top plays. That article is written mostly last night and this morning, so we didn't really know who the lineups were. Then throughout the day, my process, those plays that are also in the article you will see as initial plays on the individual position tabs on the sheet. And then from there, as lineups start coming in during the day and all the updates for odds and everything, can you turn the air conditioner? It's getting a little hot in here. Yeah. Then I start highlighting plays on the sheet. I'm going to show you that here shortly on the starting lineups tab, and it distinguishes between FanDuel and DraftKings. I had a bunch of people ask, how do you distinguish between DraftKings and FanDuel? Well, now we go. Now we have a way, and I'm going to show you that here shortly, as well as look at some red hot hitters coming into the last 14 days. We're going to talk some PrizePicks as well. This is the day 4 challenge on their 7-day challenge. So we're going to talk about that here shortly as well. So I am just sharing this on social media. So if anyone is out there on Twitter, if you want to go over to @Jaeger_bombs9, make sure to follow me, share, like the video. It helps out a lot in terms of getting more people in and more people in our community over at Patreon. How's everyone doing? How's everyone's weekend? How was DFS baseball treating you? I know yesterday was good for me in terms of PrizePicks. There was a pitcher props yesterday, and I hit all 3 that I posted in chat. So that was a really good day on there. So looking to carry out that momentum. Missed on cash on DraftKings, hit the 2 days previous to that. So overall, things are going actually pretty good right now. Nothing bigs in terms of GPP, but starting to heat up here along with the summer. So, all right, we are sharing that there. I'm going to share it in chat now, and then we've got a couple more people popping in. Make sure to smash up that like button while we are waiting to get going here. Just going to fire this. Of course, the Astros lineup comes in as I'm on. So I will have to look at that live here. So just give me a second. Sharing this in Discord. Talking DFS MLB. All right. So I'm going to share. We'll bring up the sheet here. Expand that. We're actually going to go full screen here so you guys can see it. So the first tab I'll take you to, I just want to kind of every episode, Monday and Friday, I want to bring you something new, a new way that I'm looking at the sheet, a new way to use the sheet, just so that you have a whole bunch of different ways of going ahead and using the research info that I provide, and all of us provide. Tim, how's it going? Liking the Reds Keno 2200? Yeah, that's a nice value play tonight for sure. So looking at the last 14 days, and it says last 14 days, it's actually since the All-Star break. I adjusted it a little bit so it fit in. It's very close, but generally when I do this, I'm looking at guys with a lot of at-bats. I want to see a good sample size. Guys that have minimal at-bats, I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to that. So Juan Soto stands out. Victor Reyes, pretty small sample size, but he's been pretty good in there for Detroit. Nice value punt play if you want to go that route. Mitch Haniger, pretty nice price, but I don't like the matchup for Seattle tonight. Joey Votto, Teoscar, 469, Wobo over 30 at bats for Toronto is pretty solid at his price. So then going over to starting pitchers, what makes this slate kind of interesting is I have 3 pitchers I really like tonight at the top. Just give me 2 seconds. Having an issue with the air conditioner. All right. So looking at pitching tonight, very interesting. We've got Ohtani, Garcia, and Miley are the 3 that I like the most. Ohtani would be number 1. Getting him at 9,200 I really like on DraftKings. Probably not going there on FanDuel unless it would be more of a GPP because that is a lot. We do have a lot of value to mix that in, so it probably is going to work. But 9,200 on DraftKings makes him easily my top play at pitcher. He has been very good. The bat has struggled a little bit. I want to go over. We'll look at his card here. He's hitting like 215, 216 since the All-Star break. Looked good yesterday. But his one start since the All-Star break, he went 6 innings, give up only 3 hits, 8 strikeouts, and 1 walk, up to 96 pitches there. That was really good to see. 6 fly balls, 4 ground balls. So he's going to give up those fly balls every once in a while, but 27 points. That is right at 3x. So that's not even his biggest upside, I don't think, in this matchup versus Colorado, who is the worst road team in the major leagues. So I do see him giving you a nice floor. We're looking for about 18 points as a floor. I think he can definitely give us that. And then for upside, we're looking for about that 27, that 3x, and I think he can even eclipse that and get into that 30 to 35 point range possibly. So he's easily my number one pick. And then the question is tonight on DraftKings whether we go Ohtani and Garcia, which is still keeps us below 20,000, which is kind of the number that I look at. Tuning in on the way home. Hi, Dobo. How's it going, buddy? Yeah, so that's the big question. I don't mind it. You can build lineups. I built lineups both ways, going Garcia and Ohtani, or Ohtani and Miley. I do like the little bit of a discount, and even getting more bats in there. Toronto is going to be my top team. We'll go talk about that here in a second. But the Garcia Ohtani combination keeps you under 20K, which I do like. I lean Garcia. If you need that $1,000 on FanDuel, I do lean Garcia here. And Miley's kind of would be a GPP only play for me on FanDuel just because of the $9,600 price tag. It's only $400 more to go up to Garcia, who, for one, isn't an underdog. He's quite a big favorite here. You get that win expectation in there as well. So there's just more safety with Garcia, but I do like Miley. I guess with him being an underdog, he probably should be a GPP play. But I do like the floor that he gives. He's looking for about 16 points out of Miley. And if we go look at his game logs here, his one start out of the All-Star break, he looked amazing against the Mets. He gave up 7 hits, but he only gave up 1 earned run, 2 runs total, 8 Ks in that game, 104 pitches, 26 points. That's kind of in that 3x range. But generally we're looking for his average outing, which is kind of between like 12 and 15, 16 points. So we would take that for cash. So I don't mind that, but I think there is a route easily to go Garcia and Ohtani tonight. Now we'll move over to bats. I guess before we move over to bats, another GPP pivot I like here is going to be low owned, I believe, just because Garcia, Ohtani are in much better spots. Is German Marquez here? He's a little bit low in my projections, but for one, Colorado, he doesn't get the win expectation, so that is where I would never use him in cash, going up against Ohtani. But at his price, I do like the upside. LA has struggled out of the break. Marquez, although he has been slightly better at home in terms of limiting the power and stuff, he's got about 3% more K rate on the road. He walks less guys on the road, so I think his upside is greater on the road. So I definitely like that. He's got more upside to me than Miley. If you're looking at these two guys in this mid 8K range on DraftKings for upside and GPPs, safety, I like Miley going up against the Cubs, but for GPP upside, I do like Marquez here versus the Angels. Moving over into bats, got it sorted by implied runs. Over here is the rank, and that is based off my model, which is these are all the weights. Same as if you're familiar with PGA and NASCAR sheet, I've got models built for those. Same kind of thing. These are all the weights on all the different things. So looking at that, Toronto is number 1, going up against Boston. I just love this game in general for a game stack. I'm going to try and get as much of Boston, Toronto as possible. So they are my teams that I'm definitely going to be turning to. First of all, Toronto goes up against Pivetta. They have 18 hits in 2 starts against him already this year. He has been average at best, but he gives up a lot of fly balls. The home run to fly ball rate is up there. High exit velo, high hard contact. So going up against Toronto, that would be why that's not a good matchup for them. And then Boston faces Thomas Hatch, who's making his debut for Toronto this year. He's probably not going to go deep, and Toronto's bullpen has been absolutely trash. So keep that in mind. That's a good combination for Boston to score a lot of runs. It took them late into the Yankee game yesterday to get there, but they ended up, some of those guys saved the day for anyone that was on Boston yesterday, but they just got a powerful offense. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in here. So yeah, Boston, Toronto is definitely number 1. And if we go over and look at their lineups, I'll show you how I highlight now. So whether you're playing DraftKings or FanDuel, I've now highlighted the plays I like on those teams that you see on the team stacking tab over here on their prices. Green is going to be core, blue is GPP, yellow is value. So I do like Reese McGuire on DraftKings as the cheap catcher that I'll turn to. Anyone under 3K on one of my top teams, and he's on the road, so he should get 3 at bats for sure here, maybe even 4 because he's on the road. It'll be very close. If Toronto score and runs, he's most definitely going to get 4 at bats. So I like that at 2,800. So we'll go and we'll throw that in here. We'll start there. And then, like I talked about in my article last night, Bo Bichette is too cheap for me right now. He was over 6K probably 2 to 3 weeks ago, or let's say 10 to 15 games ago. So going into before the All-Star break, he was upwards of 6K. Well, he's now getting a little more opportunity to drive in runs down in the and this kind of correlates with what I'm going to say with Springer as well as my 2 core plays on Toronto, my 2 favorite plays on Toronto. Springer would be number 1 in the leadoff spot. This is where Springer shines. This is where he's at his best in terms of fantasy, at his best in terms of a ball player in general, is in the leadoff spot as that spark plug at the top of the lineup. He can hit the home run off the lead or to start the game. He can hit gap to gap. He's got a ton of speed for extra base hit power as well. So I love that he's under 5K. He's going to be the number 1 play for me on Toronto. And then Bichette has dropped to the 4 spot. So Springer's up to the leadoff spot. Bichette has dropped down in a little bit more opportunity in terms of driving in runs, which I absolutely love. He's been hot. Let's just go look at that here. Since getting into that spot, he's got 5 hits and 8 at bats, including a walk in both those games. So he's becoming a little bit more patient at the plate. It looks like he was striking out quite a bit in the first half. Scored 3 runs in that game 2 versus the Mets. He's got that huge home run power. So love Bichette. So let's go throw Bichette and Springer in for Toronto. And for cash games, just my strategy. And I kind of exclude if the punt catcher works out, great. But generally, I'm looking for 2 to 3 teams exposure to and 2 to 3 player stacks. Sometimes that's going to range into 3 or 4 players if there's enough punt plays on a certain team, and that leads me into my next team. So we're getting a pretty good base here. We're still after 3,500. Well, that's getting a little bit low. Looks like we're going to have to fill our lineup with some value. That brings me to the White Sox. Wrote him up in my article. Andrew Vaughn should be probably 60 to 80% owned in cash games tonight. 2,600 on DraftKings, even 2,800 on FanDuel, still a really good value. He is hitting second. He is heating up. He is was one of their top prospects in the major leagues now. So we got hits in 5 straight, scored runs in 3 of those, doubles in 4 straight, a home run in there. So he's kind of doing a little bit of everything. He's given us like a 5 to 10 point floor, 20 to 25 point upside, and he's 2,600. So that is crushing value. Absolutely. So you go and throw him in. On FanDuel, he can be thrown in. Well, on FanDuel at 2,800, it is a great price. Although in terms of percentage of salary cap, it's a little bit higher than DraftKings. You can play him at first, you can play him at outfield, and you can play him in utility spot. So he kind of makes a must play on both sites for me. So you go and throw him in there. You're now up to 3,750. So another cheap play in here would be nice. Also, Eloy Jimenez. I definitely don't mind going that route. I'm going to highlight both of those as top values. It's his first game back, but he should be, when he gets in his stride and back into rhythm, I believe he will be 5K with Anderson, Abreu, Moncada, who's a little bit cheap. So if you want, and you want to get 3 White Sox in there, you can definitely, while GPP, I like Anderson and Abreu. I love their upside, but their price is getting up there. I do, for cash, like going Moncada, and I'll just highlight this as we go in terms of DraftKings, and this is the process I kind of go through. I love that there. The price at 3K for Jimenez on FanDuel, I would say GPP only. I love the value on DraftKings, but I don't think we need to force it at 3K. We can find better value. Vaughn, obviously, 2,800. Moncada, I like a lot better. So Moncada is a key play. So as we go ahead and build this, I don't mind going Eloy in there just to keep that correlation together. Going Moncada, you're still left with 4K. So that's a good way to go ahead and get some Toronto White Sox. Those are going to be 2 of my top teams. I do like Kiki Hernandez. He's only 4,100, so he fits into that build at second base. Then we're left with 3,900, which I think we can make work out. It's punting a first base position. We don't have to go that way, definitely. You can definitely go away from that if you choose, and just maybe for the White Sox, you want to go with the 2 value plays. And then get a little bit more Boston in there. You can definitely go that route as well. But that kind of gives you a look into how I'm going. If you take out Garcia and then you throw in Wade Miley, if that's the way you maybe want to go with some savings, now you got 5,100 to go between those spots. You can pay up. You can almost, if you want, you can get Vladdy in there, and you're still left with 4,200 at third. So there is a ton of ways, a ton of value here tonight to go ahead and build those DraftKings and FanDuel lineups without having to sacrifice your pitching. So you can still go with those top pitchers without going outside of those guys and still get it in there nice. So that's definitely the way I'll be building DraftKings tonight in terms of cash games. And then for GPPs, take a quick drink. All as I would do different, instead of going 2 or 3, or instead of going like 3 or 4 teams exposure, which if I was going 3 to 4 teams exposure in cash games, it'd be Toronto. In terms of my exposure for these core teams, it would be Toronto, Boston. Chicago's very close just because of the value of Vaughn and Eloy on DraftKings. So it's more like a Toronto 1, and then Boston and Chicago are like a 2A, 2B. But for Boston, if you don't want to go with Eloy in the outfield for cash, go 500 more, and you got Jarren Duran up here. It's been a rough start for him in the majors, but 3K is pretty good for him in a good matchup for Boston. Whenever I see a team, top 5 in implied runs in a good spot, in a good matchup versus, an average or less pitcher, I love these value plays that jump to the top of the lineup, even if they haven't been consistent, as you can see here. I still would consider him in cash games if you want to go that route. But again, Eloy is I'm just going to say he's a much better player. And if he was, I bet you in a week, I'm going to say a week, I'll put it at, say, 7 to 10 days from now, Eloy, if he doesn't re-injure himself somehow or whatever, I think he's back to full health from what I've read. If he is back to full health, he's a 5K to 50 to 6K player within 7 to 10 days. If he has, even like 3 to 4 good games in those 7 to 10 days / games. I know there's some day offs in there. So let's just say 7 to 10 games. If he has like 3 or 4 good games, he'll be 5K. Tiers ranked in order, they are not right now. I've not had time yet to get to the tiers. For anyone that is new to the show or anything, or new to what I have a tiers tab here, and what I do is I will go and rank them. When they are ranked, you will see, and I'll just rank some here while I'm on. Like it's going to be Vladdy. I've got batting order here, so you can see I mark them out when they're out. So Bogarts is out tonight. This is tough. So I'll do the first few tiers for those that are watching the show. The rest I will do for members once the show is over. So I kind of like it in this order tonight, and then I'll actually go ahead and just change the order. So that's when you'll know my ranks are up. Once whoops, get that. So once this ranks tab, so Vladdy definitely number 1. Soto and Turner, it's close. You know what? For safety, I do like Turner a little bit more. He gives you the speed element because we are looking at fantasy score for tiers. So I love the speed element that he provides. He is leading off. Not leading off. He's in the second spot tonight. So, I mean, that doesn't really matter, but he just gives me a little bit more safety. But it's very close. This first tier, normally I'll play tiers, and I learned this from Kenny. He likes to look and make sure there's only like 1 or 2 players per tier. And then you can, if you're playing 20 max, you can really go in and easily build a 20 max player pool in tiers. Just going, if you've got it narrowed down to 1 or 2 in each, and you like to find like 1 or 2 of these 6 tiers locks, and it's usually tier 1. So what makes tonight tough is distinguishing between Guerrero, Turner, and Soto, who I think are all in great matchups. Even Harper is going up against Joe Ross. So tier 1 can go any way. If you're building just one lineup, very, very tough. I would probably go ahead and build 4 going around that. Tier 2, a little bit more clear. I would probably, just because of the run line and stuff, I'm probably going to be going Devers, and then it would be Tim Anderson, then Semien. Even Semien hitting third in that game. Probably going to go Semien and then Anderson and then Contreras. It's how I would rank that second tier there. So if you're following my tiers, whoops, I messed that up real good. Sorry about that for anyone. Let's get that back. anyone that's following this and looking for my tiers picks every day, if you just want to build one lineup, come in and just play the guy that's ranked number one. If you're playing a three max, just kind of mix in tier, and don't don't have a ton of time to do research. Just come in and plug in one or two. Narrow your player pool to one or two. If you're playing 20 max, extend some of these, pick one or two in most of the tiers, extend it to three in some, and kind of mix it that way. So, ton of ways to play tiers, just going off my rankings. I'll even give you tier three today. It's Bo Bichette for me, number one. Two is Martinez. And honestly, this is a tier where I'm probably, other than Abreu, those are three. I wouldn't have any exposure to any of these other three. If I had to rank them looking at their matchups, I probably like Realmuto, just kind of in the order that they are here. So this is a tier where Bichette is by far number one, and then Abreu. And some days when I have time, I'll come ahead and do this too, so you can kind of see out of these guys which ones I'll have exposure to. If I was playing cash games, it'd be obviously the one in number one. If you're playing cash games, it's always just play the guy in the number one rank there. If you're expanding it, I'm going to kind of try and highlight them here just to let you know how many I would have exposure to in each of these tiers, as some of these tiers, as you can see, are a little bit bigger. Another thing I would say for tiers, if you are building GPP lines, is make sure to stack. Really look at the combinations that you can make with your tiers and try and get exposure to your top two or three teams. Sometimes it works out where you can build out of the six, you can build a 3-3 stack or a 2-2-2 and get exposure to those top three teams. Or go, if you can somehow mix in, like I'll just go Control F and search Toronto. So today you can go Guerrero, Simeon, Bichette, and Springer and Teoscar. So you can go 5 Toronto. If you're building GPP, that's number one. That's the first way that I would start building GPP with tiers, is just go all 5 Toronto. Stack all 5 of them in there. And then I think you can do that. Someone let me know in chat if I'm wrong, if you play tiers a lot. I haven't really done this on a 20 max level yet. But if I haven't seen this yet, where you can go 1 to 5 in a lineup out of the 6 tiers. And then, if I'm building 20 max, I would probably do 10 line, or sorry, if I was doing 20 max, it would be, where's this other tier? So Degotti is out. I believe Altuve, Story, and Alvarez are all in. So then we've got 6 players. If I'm playing 20 max, I'm taking a Toronto full 5-player stack, 1 through 5 in the lineup. I'm building 6 lineups around it with each player in tier 6. So that covers all your bases for a 5-player Toronto stack. And then I would even go ahead and I would go 4 more lineups, mixing in a 4-player Toronto stack, and then whatever mix around. You could do this 6 times. You could then mix it with each of the players in this 6, or you could mix it around and whatever player you take out of your stack, and just get exposure to, like the Boston guys say. So that's some ways to build GPPs with tiers. All right, so moving on from tiers, let's talk some PrizePicks. I'm going to slide over to that tab here in just a minute. I have to get it loaded, so just give me a few seconds here. I'm going to give you a couple of my top plays on the show, and then for members, you will see the rest of my PrizePicks plays over in the chat. Or actually, I'll have it completed for you once the show is over. I think I have 10 today, because it's day 4 of the day. Anyone that's been paying attention to PrizePicks here lately, they have a 7-day challenge where you complete a challenge 1, 3, 5, or all 7 of the challenges. You get up to $75 in promo funds from them. It's an excellent challenge. It's really easy to do each and every day. Like today's is, you have to run 2 separate 5-player flexes. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second. We'll open my PrizePicks and let that load. As well, I'm going to give you like I said, my top couple plays, and then I will have the rest for members. The other 7 plays for members ranked in order and highlighted on the sheet once the show is over. I'm going to include some pictures. I don't have a pictures tab yet, but I will have a pictures tab out for you very, very soon. So those plays I will announce in chat. All right, so here we got the PrizePicks tab. I'm going to bring up PrizePicks. Like I said, you need to have, we'll go to MLB. Let's make this bigger for you. So today challenge, you can you can go single stat, you can go fantasy score, whatever you want, but you need 2 separate 5-player flexes. So I'm just going to grab the first 5 here just to show you what it looks like, and we're going to go say over on all of them. With 5, you can only play a flex. So if you play $10 and you hit all 5, you get 10 times your money, $100 or $110 return, you win $100. 4, you win 2 times your money, so you win $20. And if you only get 3 right, you're at least going to get $4 back on that $10 bet. So you're not going to lose everything on this 5-player flex. So that's how the 5-player flex works. So top plays. George Springer, number 1. He's leading off the hits plus walks. He's in his prime spot. I can tell he's 100% by his catch yesterday. I think that was yesterday, Saturday or Sunday, either way, when he just went full bore, 100%. As soon as the ball, the crack of the bat, did not care whatsoever that center field wall was right there and just full extension dive. That tells me he is 100%. You can see it in his eyes. And like I said earlier in the show, him as the leadoff hitter, this is what we want. This is where Springer belongs. He's one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball. We've seen it with Houston. And I really hope as a Jays fan, we see it as well now that he's back in this leadoff spot. So he's number 1 for me over on the hits walks. I don't mind the over on the fantasy score here either. Me personally, I just play the props. I love hits walks as my number 1, runs RBIs as well. As you can see, Vladdy in here as well. He's hitting number 2. So pairing those 2, I definitely like. And if we're playing Springer, I do like playing correlation here. So if Springer is going to be getting the hits and walks and hitting the over, Vladdy in the number 2 spot as the MVP. I don't want to say likely. That's a little bit biased. Shohei Ohtani has been awesome. He struggled a little bit with the bat in the second half. I just don't think he's going to have the gas doing both to get there to the end. Again, I'm super biased. Go Vladdy, go. Also ordered a Vladdy for MVP t-shirt, so I hope that works out. I hope it shows up before, say, he doesn't win the MVP. Then that's just going to be one I'm at the store in the closet. Like my Philadelphia Flyers win the Stanley Cup shirt I ordered 3 years ago in the playoff run. Showed up after they had been eliminated. So awesome. Moving on. Back to the correlation here. If Springer's going to be going over on his hits and walks, there's a very, very good chance that Toronto as a team is going to, like Vladdy especially, he'd probably be my number 2 if we're going to be looking at that. I'm just going to change that around here just because of the correlation. But whether you're playing Springer as your number 1 or Bichette as your number 1, playing Vladdy with them makes a lot of sense just because of the correlation. Vladdy doesn't have hits or walks. He has runs and RBIs. So I definitely like that. But I love all 3 here tonight against Boston. I like the Boston players as well. That's no secret. You're going to see that in my rankings as well once I'm done the show for members. You can even mix in Semien if you want. He's hitting in the 3 spot tonight. So that's where this batting order that I added comes in. I like looking at the batting splits. If you're looking at hits and walks, again, I like looking at on-base percentage. That is the correlation stat that I use the most when I'm looking at PrizePicks and playing hits and walks. If I'm playing fantasy score, if I'm playing runs plus RBIs or total bases, this is when I dig into WOBA and WRC plus in those splits as well, even ISO, which is isolated power. But generally, hits and walks is what I play, and I concentrate a lot on base percentage. And then I just start going and breaking down. Like, for instance, I will bring up Springer. I just start looking at players' game logs, how many hits and walks they've had over these games. So Springer isn't getting a lot of walks. That's a little bit concerning. But in tonight's game, I feel he's going to have enough chances to either get multiple hits or a hit and a walk. So I definitely like it, Springer all the way around. For Vladdy, who needs runs plus RBIs, we could go look at his game log as well. RBIs and runs. So he had 1, 0, 2, 1. So he's been on a little bit of a slump on that lately. But again, I definitely like it, whether he's going to be ranked up top or not. But definitely Toronto is going to be near the top of my PrizePicks plays as well. If you're playing like a 2-play or a 2-play or a 3-play, I wouldn't go all Toronto. I would try and mix your teams. And then what you do is you're spreading out the risk, kind of like cash games we talk about with DraftKings. I like doing that with PrizePicks if I'm playing 2-play flex. I'm not going 2 players on the same team. And on a 3-play flex, 2 is my max. Even into a power play for sure, 2 from the same team. If it's a 3-player, power play. I do like going 3 separate teams on that one as well, unless it's a lot smaller slate and the options are limited. Um, and there's one team that just really stands out in front of the other. But generally, I want to mix that up a little bit in my power plays, kind of treat that like a cash games. But if you're going 5-play flex tonight, I wouldn't go all Toronto. It's not like DFS where your fantasy score, you're going up against others, so you want to make sure that you get all that correlation in there. You're just looking to hit over or under on the prop. You're just playing the house kind of thing. So that's what you're looking for in terms of them. So if I play flex, I wouldn't go more than 3. I'm probably going to limit it even to 2 Toronto in my flex. And I'm going to want exposure, like I talk about all the time when I'm looking at my breaking down my PrizePicks plays and breaking down the stats. I do sort the sheet by team and by implied runs. So the top teams are obviously at the top, but I am looking to get as much exposure to the rankings that I've given you earlier, which I talked about: Toronto, Boston, White Sox, and then Houston, Minnesota, Washington. Those teams are the teams I want the exposure to on PrizePicks. I'm not really going to venture outside of the green teams, especially tonight. I think we can get like 4 to 6 different plays on PrizePicks tonight just from those 3 teams. I do like some on Houston as well. Same old guys, but that's how I break down my PrizePicks as well. So that kind of covers that. If we don't have any questions, I'm going to start wrapping things up. I'm trying to keep this show about 25 to 35 minutes so that we got time to have some chat for members, to run some lineups by me, as well as me to set my own lineups, because I am a little bit behind today. I got to fill out the rest of the tiers rankings as well. So thanks for joining me. This is the most live viewers we've had on the baseball show. Going to keep this thing rolling. I'm going to keep it consistent. Make sure to come back for the show on Friday. There will be another free roll. I'm going to be doing a $10 gift card free roll. It's going to be a gift card for now. I'm working on some other things. I will provide more details when it becomes more clear. But for now, it's going to be Fanatics gift cards, $10 every single Friday. For anyone joining the live show, I've got a random generator that just picks someone that's commented. So make sure to show up on Friday's show as well. Be giving that away. And this show on Monday is going to continue as well. So every Monday and Friday, join me for the Talking DFS baseball, and throw up your questions, and I will talk anything sports related. Seriously, you throw it up here, I'll talk about it. Next week, I see no one asked about the DFSR tools today, so I didn't really jump into that. But if any DFSR members are in the live show and want to, have questions, if you're a new DFSR member, this is a great time to join in. If you want to learn more, if you're just signing up, I know there's a lot of people that just go in and just hit optimize and run optimizers that way and just run those first lineups that pop up. There's so many more filters that are out there for optimizers that you're doing yourself a disservice if you at least don't know what those filters are and how to use them. Whether you're using the DFSR optimizer, whether you're using FanShare Sports for golf, whether you're using Fantasy National Golf Club, whether you're using Roto Grinders, whatever site you're using, you can learn a lot just by digging into the filters and learning more. Get in the right player pool, and then you're going to have more optimal lineups than just what the algorithm throws out. Because the algorithm, again, it knows a lot of stuff. It knows the odds. It knows the splits. It knows what teams are in a good spot in terms of implied runs. It knows splits of the opponent's pitcher. But there's a lot of things it doesn't know. It doesn't know how to, completely stack and sequence sometimes. There's a lot of human elements, and you can just have a lot more success if you actually put in the time with these optimizers. So if you got any more questions on that DFSR optimizer, hit me up anytime, chat, and I can help you out, walk you through. I can make your own personalized video as well. I've got Awesome Screenshot, it's called. I can make quick personalized videos and send you guys, and that goes for anything. If you want to learn and just have a quick personalized video on how to do something on the cheat sheet, and you want the video just for you, hit me up in chat, and when I have time, I can definitely put that together for you. Thanks again for joining the show. Hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions, at Jaeger_bombs9. If you're looking to grab a free trial over to our Discord, definitely go in the comments. Sorry, not the comment section. In the description below the video here, you'll find a link to our free trial for Discord. And if you want to become a member, $10 for one sport. This is American. $20 for all sports. We're covering 13 sports. Gives you access to our cheat sheets, our one-on-one coaching, our Discord. We have 4 coaches in there now, and a huge community up in over 240 people. Thank you all for the support, and let's go get some green screens. Have a great night.